I think people have this idea that they have to be fixed their whole lives, like a fixed personality or a fixed set of values. And if they stray from that, then they're betraying the authentic version of themselves. But it's normal to flip-flop sometimes. You know, that's not betrayal. That's just being a person. That's just having an open mind. Hey friends, Christina here. Just a heads up. Over the next few weeks, our production quality may be a little inconsistent since we are still looking for a permanent virtual studio for the podcast. We tried recording this one in video, but it soon became apparent that I don't have the time or energy to teach myself a whole new editing system. For the foreseeable future, our episodes will be back to audio only. We know, we're sad too, but hopefully it's only temporary. Thank you to everyone who sticks along for the ride and continues to participate. We love you and look forward to things eventually stabilizing. With that said, here is the show. There's always clean feed.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, try my story again. So,
I don't know what it picked up before, though. I don't think it got anything. Hey, friends, and welcome to Pickles and Vodka, the mental health podcast where we're never prepared and technology hates us. I'm Christina.
And I'm Lauren.
And we're back after 2 weeks. We're still struggling with our technology. But Lauren was just telling me how she was doing before we were rudely interrupted.
Yes. So I was saying, in the continuing struggle of me dealing with my murdered dog, one of my coworkers who I get along with really well, she was on vacation for a week. We've always bonded because she has a tiny little chihuahua about the same age and size as Pico. So she comes back after being on vacation for a week and she's kind of staying in her office, but she does that a lot after a vacation, just really busy, obviously. But by the end of the day, I'm like, I'd like to at least say hi to her, you know, we get along well and everything. So she's passing by my office and I'm trying to catch her eye and, you know, and I must have, and she comes and she walks in and she just looks like really somber. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know, maybe she's just like really stressed. And I was like, hey, how are things going? You know, how are you doing? And she's just like, my dog was murdered last week.
Holy shit. While she was on vacation?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Because she was staying with her son and she's like, I thought that I could talk to you because she's one of the people that knew the whole story of Pico. And so she's like, I knew you'd understand. And she was just like, we were at my son's and he has a big dog and they've always gotten along and just attacked.
Oh my God.
And I mean, it was like almost the exact same thing, except for they were in the house when it happened.
I can't imagine anything worse. That's horrific.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds also?
I know, within 3 months of each other, we have two people in the same small office who's has the exact same thing happen.
Well, on one hand, I'm glad isn't the right word. It's good that you at least were there for her and that you could relate to her, but also that must have brought up a lot of trauma for you.
And that's exactly what the last couple of weeks have been like. I'm like, it's really nice in a way to have somebody that completely understands. Because, you know, before that, then of course, a lot of people can be like, oh, you know, yes, I've had pets that have passed. And I'm like, yeah, you know, a lot of people have, but this is also straight up trauma. And, you know, she gets that, obviously. But but at the same time, and I would have probably really liked that when it happened to me. So I want to be there for whatever she needs to say. And I want her to know she can say anything to me. But also, I mean, I can't help when she's talking about it, the images come up in my own mind all over again. So yeah, it's been good and hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's awful.
Yeah, it's still I can't even process the fact that this just happened to both of us. Like I said, in an office of 16 people.
That's insane. Yeah. Well, what do you say to that? There's nothing you can really say to that because it's just horrible.
I mean, one thing I know is because I had come to terms with it and, you know, and she seems kind of thinking oh, this is probably silly to say, but she's like, I feel like I almost have PTSD from it. And I just looked at her seriously, you do.
You do?
You absolutely do. Yes.
Especially if she was in the room when it happened or in the house when it happened.
Yeah. So she wasn't in the room. It sounds like, unlike Pico, she says her dog is a little shit and a shit starter. So they heard him barking and just thought like, oh, she's just causing trouble. But then she said her husband walked like it was happening in the kitchen, and she just heard him screaming at the other dog, like, drop her right now. And then he's running out like, we have to get her to a vet. And
oh my God.
Uh-huh.
So what did they do about the other dog?
I don't know. I think we maybe could have conversations in the future about this, because she did agree with pretty much with me, because it was her son's dog. And, and also, like a dog that she knows, a member of her family cares a lot about. And she said, too, that she knew right away. She's like, I don't want you to put the dog down. And she seems to be okay with her son not getting rid of the dog. But also, I don't know how close, like, I want to say they're in Arizona.
So it's not like she's going to see the dog all the time.
It's not the same as, like, this is stopping you from going over to someone's house you do, like, multiple times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, how's that going with you? Because I know you put up your new hoop in your boyfriend's yard.
Yes, I will go outside at his place. I will not go inside. And that was cool that it worked out. It's kind of short, but we knew that, and as long as it worked, then he was talking about like his setup is just kind of like a wood frame, and he's like, I got all the hardware on it. He's like, I just need to get a few like taller boards and build it a little taller.
Yeah, we established it was not for a sex swing.
No.
That's one thing I remember from the last time we recorded.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say like it does continue to be kind of difficult knowing that I'm like, there's no end in sight. Like, I don't know that I'm ever going to be comfortable seeing this dog. I don't know how long you're going to have this dog. And for the who knows how long future, this is how it is. But I will say I've noticed since getting this new place, it's a little easier, because I realized I was like, I bet it was really, really hard when not only do I know that I cannot go over there, but I'm living in this nasty, wet, dripping, bug-infested, smelly apartment, and that's the only place that we can stay. We can't go to his place.
Those are both shitty options. Oh my God.
So now, he only comes over to my place, but at least it's a nice place. And we can be comfortable.
Oh my God. Sorry, Fang. All right, Fang, you have to say hi because you...
Hi, Fang. Hi, cutie.
Stop hitting yourself. Okay. How far is your new place from where he lives?
So that's good too. It like cuts the drive in half from how far I had to go to the old place. So it's closer. It's nicer. It smells better.
Oh, and how was your show? Your band had a show last Saturday?
Yeah. And, that just leaves me with a whole bunch of questions too, because, it was a good show. These are the shows we're supposed to be doing with the old drummer who, just was giving us too much crap and, was making everybody angry. So it wasn't going to work out long term with him. We thought, and we'll just play these last few ones we have scheduled with him. But then at the show, we got two people offer us a job, and we took one of them.
Oh my God. Wait, what kind of job?
Yeah, we had one person ask us to play at a birthday party, and they could not offer us nearly enough money to make it worth it, because for something like that, we have to rent equipment. And we're like, I'm not sure they're even offering us enough to like make anything. We might be out of pocket for what they say they can. So we're like, no, sorry, we can't do that. But then there's some fundraiser. I'm not sure what it's for. I hope it's not something sketchy.
No.
I didn't even think of that till just now.
You accepted it without knowing what you're raising funds for?
I didn't realize until we'd accepted it that they said it's a fundraiser thing. And I was like...
Watch it be like some MAGA thing.
I know. That's like, I literally just thought that. But I think I might have heard them say it, and I feel like it was something very generic that most people are going to be in support of, like cancer, so I don't think it was something that's really divisive.
Everyone loves cancer.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like, no, I want more cancer. We can't try it.
Sorry for laughing so much. After that dark story about the dogs, I feel like we need to lighten it up a little bit with cancer.
Yeah. But but yeah, so I'm just kind of confused now because then they're talking like we got someone took some videos at the show and we finally got some videos that were decent and we're like, those will be great for promo. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I mean, I like playing, so I don't really care, but does this just mean we're going to continue as we are? Just like,
I thought you were going to say that would be great for the podcast Instagram. You got to hire a PR person. Sounds like you're up and coming.
I could probably give you little bits for the podcast Instagram now that we have
duh. The demand is strong.
But yeah, and I feel like that too. I feel like it all just goes related back to dogs. Because I tiptoe around that too, because we tried out a new drummer and that's the night it happened.
Wow.
First of all, with the old drummer, we were practicing at his house. So we were going to practice at my boyfriend's house. Well, I can't do that. And then plus, there's the memory of like, oh yeah, we tried out a new drummer and look what happened at the end of the night. So I feel like, just kind of like tiptoeing around that. Don't really want to, I don't know.
Wait, so the thing with your coworker's dog happened that night?
No. The night that we tried out a new drummer for the band, that's the night the thing happened with Pico.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. So, they're not related, but of course it's in the back of my mind when we talk about like, are we going to get a new group together? And I'm like, oh yeah, we tried. And then my dog died.
Yeah. That's a lot of emotions you must be feeling.
Oh yeah.
A lot of conflicting emotions.
Yeah, it is all over the place, especially I feel like, since hearing about my coworker and adding that into the mix has just kind of like stirred things up and yeah. So that's where I am.
Well, last time we recorded, you were also talking about a new dog that you were hoping to get.
Yeah, and I never heard anything back, so I'm just going to assume it was a small thing. So, who knows if something got lost, and I feel like I just got to move on.
Yeah, there's lots of dogs that need homes.
Mm-hmm. So where are you at? I know you have some new stuff.
I do. I have a lot of new stuff. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. It's crazy. My sister and I got an apartment.
Yay!
Finally. It's a townhouse in the neighborhood we wanted. It's in our budget. I'm going to have a washer and dryer for the first time in my adult life.
That's such a game changer.
I know. I like almost cried when I saw it. We get our keys on August 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this comes out on the 29th. So less than a week after this comes out, we'll be in our new place.
The next time we record, we'll be in the new place.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't even think about that. It's pretty crazy. It still hasn't really hit me yet. Mm-hmm. Like I'm still in that headspace of things are working out. And so disappointment must be on the horizon.
Yeah.
This is too good to be true. What's the catch?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to fuck this up? Or how am I going to get fucked over?
Right.
I mean, after we signed the lease, I let myself get a little bit excited.
Good.
Yeah, we still have to figure out, I'm still in this place. Like my lease here lasts until September 1st. And so I'm going to be going back and forth. I still have a weekend shift at one of my jobs that I agreed to cover. So it'll be a lot of back and forth. It'll be a lot of logistics that we haven't talked about yet because we're both so busy. Me and my sister, I mean.
Yeah.
But it's adorable. I can't wait for y'all to see it. Let's see, another update. This came out of the blue. Listeners might remember my disability saga.
Mm-hmm.
A year and a half ago, I had a breakdown and I applied for disability and I got denied twice. And then last I heard, I was waiting for a hearing. I got my hearing date in the mail this week, just out of the blue.
Wow.
It's going to be virtual. So I'm going to get a phone call from them on October 27th.
Okay.
And I don't really know how to feel about that yet.
I was wondering what the reaction was.
Well, at first I was just like, are you serious, universe? Like,
right.
I finally accepted that I'm not going to get it and tried to move on with my life. I'm applying to jobs in Richmond, and like the criteria that they use is that in order to be considered disabled, I can't work the same jobs that I was able to before, which is true. I had office jobs. I can no longer do that. But also they have to prove that I can't support myself otherwise, which I have been because I'm a survivor. Like I have to. There's no other option.
Right.
I have 3 jobs right now, 4 if you count this fucking podcast. But yeah, I'm just going to tell them the truth and see what happens.
And also, like you said, you did it because you had to, but how long do you think continuing to push yourself through 3 jobs is sustainable? You would end up in the exact same place.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. My mental health has not been the greatest. Even with the good news about the apartment, I feel like that's also kind of been the catalyst for a nosedive. The body image stuff hasn't been good. The substance use has been not great. I just need a change of scenery for sure. But yeah, I'm still going to be me in the new place. You know?
Well, and I think of that as, you added things on. I feel like it's not really been that long that you've been working 3 jobs.
Yeah, it's been...
and you can do that. You can do things like that in emergency situation. I just need to support myself. But that's where I think, if you continue to do that for 2-3 years, then...
It's rough. I don't have a ton of free time. And when I do, I just want to escape to the point where it stresses me out to plan things with people because I'm thinking, oh, I could be making money right now. Because, one of my jobs is per diem. So if I'm not available, I'm not earning money. And so I guilt myself every moment I have free. I'm I could be working right now. I'm letting people down. I'm letting myself down. It's just ruthless. And I know a lot of it is me, but yeah, it would be cool if I had supplemental income coming in that would let me ease up a little bit.
Maybe there could be a day that you could relax.
What's that?
I know.
But yeah, I'm feeling all right today. I worked all morning and I had a 2-hour nap right before this. So I'm ready to talk more betrayal.
All right.
So our question was, have you ever been betrayed? Have you ever betrayed yourself? And what did you do about it? Or how did you deal with it? We got 2 answers, a comment and a voicemail. The voicemail is from who else? Orion.
Favorite voicemail lever.
Yeah, so I'm going to play that. We're going to have to do the countdown again.
Okay, let me
so yeah, just let me know. And the audio is a little rough. I'll just warn you. I tried to clean it up as best as I could, but...
Okay, I should be ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Betrayal. A concept which I have much experience with in so many ways, and I feel so deeply every day. I have many thoughts on self-betrayal, being betrayed by others, by your culture, by your body, by your environment, etc., etc. But we all know that we just really want to hear some really fucked up betrayal stories. So do you want to hear a juicy one about my grandma? This one is more fun for me to tell because I don't talk to this grandma for reasons that will become apparent because she's crazy. It's just kind of crazy. So my this grandma will write my dead name on my presents, and my family will have to change them before they bring them to me because I refuse to go to her house for many reasons. But some of my family does, and so they reported this story back to me from this Easter. So every Easter, my grandma has always had a little Easter bunch thing gathering, and it's always a terrible time. I do not regret not ever going to those ever again, but my sisters did this year. And my older sister was looking at this wall in my grandpa's house, where my dad lives, by the way. My grandpa and my dad and my grandma all live together in this little house out in the country. And my grandma has this wall full of family photos that we jokingly call the Wall of Shame. So my sister's looking at it and she's like, Orion's not on this wall. There's no photos of me on the wall, even though there's photos of my immediate family, my extended family, etc., relatives I've never met, but there's no photos of me. And I guess she points this out to my grandma, and my grandma points out a cross on the wall, just this Christian cross, and says, I put that up there to represent dead name because it reminds her to pray for me. She put up a cross. She won't put up photos of my actual human self. She puts up the cross, this symbol of hate speech, this hate symbol, to remind her to pray for me, to wish into the stars that I was different so that she could love me. Like, she wants me to be this version of herself in her head that she can love. And I'm like, wow. Obviously, she does not love me. She does not love who I actually am. She prefers to, I guess, just to betray an actual human family member in her life by completely erasing their existence from her consciousness because she can't deal with the fact that I'm not what she wants me to be, or I'm not an acceptable version of myself to her. First of all, she's not a good person. So it's like not even like Jesus as like a moral thing for her. It's just like the principle. Like she'll betray a family member or any actual human being. Like she'll stomp on anybody for this like random idea of Jesus. And, you know, many of us who come with religious families and from religious backgrounds have experienced this betrayal on so many levels where, you know, people you thought that you could trust will just choose their religion over you. That's so weird. It's so fucked up and it's so weird. It's crazy. I would never do that. And I never really expected much of this person or this type of person. I think that everybody has felt like some kind of deep betrayal from somebody close to them over like politics and religion in the last 10 years due to their radicalization or just like their refusal to be radicalized against injustice. And, you know, that's not just like, oh, I agree to disagree. No, that's betrayal. That's actually quite serious. And it tells me a lot about who you are as a person and the choices that you are going to make, not only on a larger level, but towards me. You betrayed my trust, and I take that seriously. And if other people betray your trust, that's due to their choices. You are not obligated to forgive them for that, and you are obligated to put up the boundaries that you need to in order to continue living either with that person or to cut them out. And that's fine. I have no regrets. Clearly, I dodged a big bullet with my grandma here. I have more thoughts about betrayal in the sense of like being betrayed systemically, maybe, or maybe I have more thoughts about it personally and not betraying yourself and your values. I actually kind of want some advice or like a gut check on the situation of betrayal regarding this story and the situation, if you don't mind. Because this grandma, I mean, she clearly, you know, dead names me. She only uses she, her pronouns for me. She wants me to be a girl. She wants me to be the granddaughter that she wanted. Even when I was the granddaughter, I wasn't the type of granddaughter she wanted. A little too weird, obviously. So she's always had a problem with me. But, so my dad lives with her ever since the worst. And so he's around them all the time, like listening to whenever she refers to me or talks about me. Like clearly they talk about me this way. And like whatever. I expect that from her, but from my dad, I would expect more. And in my experience with my dad, he's had a tough time with my transition in the past, like adjusting to that. He said some things that were hurtful, but overall, I feel like he's gotten a lot better, and he's to a point where my siblings and I all feel like he's somewhat respectful, but he's putting up with this shit in his house. You know, that hurts. That does feel like betrayal to me. Like, you're going to let your parents talk about me that way? That feels kind of fucked up. So I guess my question is, am I being like a bitch if I bring this up to my dad? Because I don't really know why I would, but if I bring up this story about my grandma and I confront him about it, like what am I trying to get out of that situation? Am I just trying to make him feel bad? Am I just expressing how I feel about it? Well, I don't know. What would you do in this situation? How good are you at confronting betrayal, I guess?
To answer your very last question, not very good at confronting betrayal.
Exactly.
Like, I think your dad needs to know how much it's affecting you. What he chooses to do with that information is out of your control. But I think it might be good to at least let him know for your peace of mind. And he might genuinely not know. I mean, he probably does. But yeah, that would be my answer to that last part.
Yeah. I don't even know if I have an answer. I mean, mostly I was just thinking of another friend whose son, well, was her daughter transitioned, and her husband was, I don't know if maybe he had trouble in the beginning, but he definitely, come around and was totally fine with it. But his mother sounds, like Orion's grandma here, and would just, insist on dead naming him, did family and all of this kind of stuff. And I know, my friend was really annoyed at her husband always because she's like, that's your mom. And you just kind of, you don't say anything, you let it go, you brush it off. Like, do you know how much this is hurting him? And, I think she finally was like, you got to fucking say something to her. But, then it's like, at least, this child had one parent going all mama bear and standing up for him. And that just, makes me sad. Mostly, that he said that his dad could be talking behind his back to his grandma, things. I was like, that's not what a parent should be doing.
Yeah, because what someone says when you're not around is a reflection of their true views. Because it's not exactly easy, but a lot of people do put on that performance to appease someone. When that person is gone, they just go right back to the dead naming and,
Or, someone, like this grandma who obviously feels so strongly, you just kind of I don't want to, cause any trouble or anything like that. So I'll just keep silent. And it's that's saying something too.
Exactly. And that's a terrible situation. And God, I just am feeling a lot of that pain listening to that story because it is really difficult when your family rejects you that explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
And while that hasn't happened to me exactly, my parents are very civil when it comes to my sexual and gender identity. They don't really talk about it or bring it up at all. But actually, I was filing for my dad this week at his office. He works at a Christian university, and he hired me to go file for him, and I need money, so I agreed. And I like organizing files. There was a lot of problematic shit that I found. He had a whole folder that was titled homosexuality.
Oh.
And inside was just a bunch of materials from the 90s. I guess gays were just being allowed to serve in the military at that time. And so I found a letter that he had written to a congressman protesting that. And I found a lot of brochures and letters from James Dobson, which, if you don't know who he is, he's the founder of Focus on the Family and an advocate of conversion therapy. So that hurt me a lot. And it was just a reminder, I'm not safe around people that hold those views as much as they might make it appear that I am. They say they love me and they accept me, but I know that deep inside they still think that I'm going to hell or that it's a phase. It is really painful. I don't even.
Yeah. And I don't know, it kind of comes across to me, like you said, that it's that your parents love you and all of this kind of stuff, but then it almost seems well, we let this one slide because it's our daughter and we love her.
Yeah, exactly.
But it says but you really, are showing your true colors and that you don't think that what I'm doing is okay. It just happens to be, that I'm your daughter.
It just happens to be, exactly. I don't want special treatment. I want, it's fucked up. And I can't just cut off my parents because I do love them and they help me out a lot still. And I think it's easy to just be oh, go no contact. Mm-hmm. But the reality is a lot murkier. There's many reasons that you would not want to go no contact. There's also reasons you could, it just differs from person to person, from situation to situation. And sometimes I do sacrifice my sense of safety to maintain the peace. And that is something I'm working on in therapy.
And also, I think we might have brought this up when we had the original betrayal episode, but it's just, I feel like more and more, it's just flooring me. People that use, their religion as their argument, and that I keep thinking like, I don't think religion is what you think it is.
What do you mean by that?
Like if you get down and, and I'm not saying this as an excuse, like, no, religion's fine, because I think in general it's terrible, but it is because of what we've made it. It's kind of like the base tenets, as I understand, of most religions are things like love your neighbor and shit like that. But people seem to just want to use religion as another excuse to hate.
Yeah. It's like Orion described the cross as a hate symbol, and that's just so ironic.
Mm-hmm. But especially in that case, it 100% is. That's terrible. And
I hate that, I do see it as a hate symbol, because it's, like you said, that's not what it was meant to be. The teachings of Jesus do say that
people have made it. So it's what it is now.
Yeah, especially in the United States, especially in Trump's America. It's just like become something entirely different. And that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of gender and stuff like that, I realized that when we initially did the episode on betrayal, I completely forgot to mention that I felt like all the years that I spent as a straight woman, now that I've come out, like later in life, I realized I'm queer and more gender fluid. I'm don't exactly know what labels I want to use. It doesn't matter, but I'm not straight and I'm not cis. And I feel like I was betraying myself all those years by pursuing relationships with men and all that stuff. I know that it wasn't, but I don't know. That's one thing I completely forgot to mention.
Yeah, it seems, like the same way that people, like, for some reason, I ended up like reading some articles today that referenced a lot of things like masking. So that's how I think of it, as, that's what you were doing, because that's what looks acceptable to the outside world. And you were probably just, like, well, I could fake it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same with ADHD or, other conditions. It's like you have to pretend to be normal to survive in the world. And that was definitely true for me. It is still true for me. I mean, I feel like I still repress a lot of my authentic self when I know what my authentic self is to begin with. Like being raised in the environment I wasn't even aware that that was something I could be. And so on the surface, I feel like I betrayed myself, but on the bigger picture, I feel like I was betrayed by the culture.
Yeah, because I don't think that people realize how good some of us get at masking. And I think that ends up doing a disservice, because you hear a lot of people then, and I feel like that is why people come up with things, like you come out as queer, but you've done so well at masking it that they think like, that's probably just a phase. Yeah. And it's like, no, because I was not showing you my authentic self for all my life. Like, it's not something I just decided yesterday the way you see it.
And I mean, part of me is deeply saddened by that, because it's like, you're telling me I could have been my authentic queer self this whole time, and instead I was masking my whole life and miserable. Something always felt wrong. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was the problem. And even when I did come out, it did feel like I was betraying the people who knew the old version of me. There's a lot of mindfuckery there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had to mention that. If anyone can relate, let us know.
I'm sure.
Do you want to read the comment that we got?
Yes, just give me a minute to pull it up.
Da, 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 da.
'Cause I did see this comment, and I have stuff to say.
Oh boy.
Okay. This is kind of random and probably not even the worst I've done, but maybe it stands out because it's the first time I felt like I betrayed myself. I was in second grade and a couple kids were making fun of me for having a disabled sister, and they were using the R word. I wanted so badly to fit in that I laughed and agreed that she was an R word, and it still haunts me. I didn't deal with it well at the time. I took my shame out on the main instigator and hit him the next day and got in trouble. The only time I ever got in trouble for a physical altercation. And for years, whenever I prayed, I would continue to repent for all of it.
Oh, that makes me so sad for the
Me
person who wrote that
too.
comment. Because, like,
I know, especially the end, that it's just like, and knowing they were so young.
yeah, that's the thing. Kids say and do
Like, you
stupid
don't know
shit.
what to do to fit in. Yeah, it is not.
I mean, you obviously have feelings about that.
Yes, because it reminded me of my own story where I was probably like 11 years old. And I had a babysitter that was a daughter of my parents' friends. And, you know, she was a couple of years older. She was like 14. And even though at 11, I'd already been watching myself and had to watch my sister. but that was more like exactly. I think those were more like emergency situations. You know, when my parents can, they're going out at night. They're like, we'll hire this mature 14-year-old to watch our two children instead. but yeah, so, you know, like, it was a daughter of my parents' friends, and, you know, I was in junior high and she was in high school. And I think, you know, like, junior high was such hell. I was just hoping, like, high school's got to be better, and she's older and seems cooler and everything. So I'm sure I wanted to impress her, and she's not that much older than me. But my sister slept in, or she pretty much just like laid in a crib all night. And this girl goes over, you know, and she's looking to see that she's okay at one point. And then I know she just turned to me and she's just like, is that all she does? And she's just like, you know, it's a little, like, for people not seeing video, it's a really offensive gesture that people used to make to indicate that, where they just kind of make a stupid face and, like, slap their hands limply against their front.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's exactly, like, I did just like this person said. I mean, I just kind of, you know, probably was just like, yeah, I guess. I mean, it made me sick to my stomach the second she did it, but I wasn't going to say anything. And to make myself feel even worse about myself, like, that always bothered me. And years later, you know, probably like when I was maybe like late teen and this girl, you know, would have been like 20 in college or so, then her dad passed, and her parents had been friends of my parents. And I think my dad worked with him for a while. So I was like, you know, I was sad about that, because I was like, I remember, you know, like, he was always really funny. He was good at, you know, like, teasing me and my brother, but, you know, like, not in like a creepy, uncomfortable way, you know? So it was like, oh, it was fun when he came over, you know? So yes, of course, like, I was sad about this and everything. But I remember distinctly feeling like, but I don't feel sorry for her.
Oh, shit. Wow. And did you guilt yourself for that too?
Of course.
Yeah.
Especially because at that time I was older, you know, when I'm like maybe like 18 or 19, then I feel like, yeah, I would have the guts now to say something like, don't fucking say that about my sister, bitch.
Well, yeah, in that moment, she showed you who she was, or at least, I mean, she was a kid herself, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, who knows? And she probably feels bad about that now, hopefully.
Or at the very least, you know, grew up and would never consider doing something like that as an adult.
And you also have to think about the times, you know, they've changed a lot. Like, people know now that that's unacceptable, hopefully, again. Mm-hmm. Caveat there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's deeply upsetting, and I don't blame you for harboring resentment against her.
But I totally got that person, because that's what, you know, I felt like as it went on. I would still like think of that situation. It's like, why didn't you say something? Yeah. It's kind of like, you betrayed your sister, and it's like, and she couldn't fight back. So it was only me in that moment. Yeah.
Well, I don't have any specific examples, but as someone who was like, I felt like an outsider growing up because I was from this weird religious homeschool family, and I would definitely betray my values to fit in. I would laugh at things that either I didn't understand or that made me uncomfortable. I would stay silent when I should have spoken up. I mean, ultimately, as kids, you just want to feel safe and accepted.
Yeah.
And I don't fault myself or this comment writer for doing what it takes to feel safe and connected. Because your brain literally isn't developed yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's definitely coming from a different place. Like all of these are like stories of children pretty much responding, where it's like, yeah, you can think about it and have some regret, but you can't fault yourself for responding like a child.
Well, and especially in a religious setting, you are taught that you're a sinner from a very early age. And so there's this sense of having to repent or offer penance for things that you do that they're stupid because you're literally a stupid kid. Like,
and I feel like a lot of religion is kind of like a message of just, like sit back and take it. I mean, I think you've said something similar that it's like, you will get your reward later. So of course you just, stay silent, shrug it off. That's what you're being taught.
It's rough. And I know what it's like to deal with that guilt, like decades after the fact, even though it literally doesn't matter and nobody remembers it.
Except for those of us that, except for those of us that replay these things in our head over and over.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's something that I'm still working on, is forgiving myself for things that I did when I was a kid that I interpret as being wicked. But like I didn't know anything about psychology, like child psychology, until relatively recently. And knowing what I know now, I see that I was just being a normal kid.
Yeah.
And I know I'm being vague, but
letting go of past guilt is really hard, though. And that's something to work on as an adult.
Yeah. Do you feel ever that, well, let me rephrase this. There's two parts to this question. Do you feel like as a child, you were betraying your authentic self? Or on the flip side, do you feel like as an adult, you're betraying your child self in any way? Because there's 2 points of view I have. On one hand, I look back at myself as a child and I think, oh my God, you poor thing, you were a victim, you didn't know anything, you were being misled and indoctrinated by this high control religion. But like, I don't know.
I feel like when I was a kid, I don't necessarily remember it. But it's a lot of kind of like stories that my mom will tell and things like that. What I'm kind of like putting together is that I was a really like frank and honest kid. Like I was not afraid to just drop a truth bomb and, say what I'm thinking, not say something just to be polite. Like, I don't think like I didn't try to be, rude about it because that would get me in trouble. Right. But if there was, a position to say like, oh, like, did you like this? Like if I could say like, no, without it, coming back as like, that's really rude. You shouldn't have done that. But if I could just, like voice where like most people would just be like, sure, something was fine. I'd just be like, no, not really. So I totally lost that, like even like while I was still a kid, because I would think at least by, like age 10 or so, then I was like, that's not the person I was. But I feel like just in like very recent years that I'm trying to kind of come back to that. Like, stop lying to people just to make them feel good. Like, I don't have to go out of my way to make them feel bad, but I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're silent, you're just betraying yourself. But then if you speak up, you might feel like you're betraying someone else. That's the constant tug of war in my brain, is like, do I betray myself or do I betray other people? In my mind, it's either one of the or the other, because I'm not used to being surrounded by people where I can be authentic. And even with my mental health struggles as an adult, as a kid, I was very innocent and creative, and I had all these innocent hopes and dreams. And as an adult now, I'm like, I do feel like I'm betraying that version of myself a little bit, because I'm terrible to my body. I don't take care of myself. I use drugs. I don't feed myself properly, all this stuff. But on the other hand, I'm honoring that version of myself every time I write, or every time I don't know, I frolic in a field. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I go back and forth between feeling guilty and then also feeling grateful to that version of myself. And I don't really know. I've kind of turned the conversation in circles, and I don't know where we're at now, but just some thoughts I'm having.
Yeah. Sounds kind of like where I'm at too. I'm like, it's a work in progress.
Yeah. And also, people change all the time. Like, you can't betray someone that no longer exists. Like, I think people have this idea that they have to be fixed their whole lives, like a fixed personality or a fixed set of values. And if they stray from that, then they're betraying the authentic version of themselves. But it's normal to flip-flop sometimes. You know, that's not betrayal. That's just being a person. That's just having an open mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, oh my God, do you hear Fang?
I did.
He's begging to be let in. It's about time for us to wrap up.
He's letting you know.
Hopefully some of that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
The next time we record, I guess I'll be in my new place. And I don't know if we're still doing it by topic.
I guess it would be my turn if we do that.
Oh, really? Wouldn't it? Didn't you pick the last topic of betrayal?
You're right, because the last one before we answered the poll wasn't really a topic episode.
Right. It was just an update episode. So technically, it's my turn to pick the topic.
But we might do something different.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, since we are going 2 weeks without talking, it is kind of nice to just catch up and see where the conversation goes. I think I prefer the more organic approach, since we did acknowledge last time that we're kind of forcing ourselves into a corner.
Yes.
And no one wants that.
Yeah. Don't put pickles and vodka in a corner.
Don't put pickles and vodka in a corner. Yeah. If you guys have any topics you want us to talk about or stories to share, please send them to us. You can hear how in the recording after this. And we love you. And thank you for answering the polls.
Mm-hmm.
Bye for now, I guess.
Bye.
Bye. If you like what you heard, tell a friend about the podcast. You can send them to picklesandvodka.substack.com, where they can listen to our entire catalog and find our newest merch. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us a voice message at speakpipe.com/picklesandvodka. My personal Instagram is at xtinajumper, and Lauren's is at Lauren3_AFH. We'll see you next week.